are listening to Bearcat Insider with everybody's favorite assistant coach, Travis Marsh, and I'm Chance Kirby. Now to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bearcat Insider. This is Coach Marsh, and I'm here with Pilot Point's favorite son, real estate broker extraordinaire. Man, I just run out of positive things.
Just pitter out after one, usually.
Well, I just run out of positive things to say about you pretty quickly.
Well, you know, your brain's so full of football knowledge, it's just hard to cram anything else in there.
But it is Chance Kirby, for those wondering. And we're here. It's the week of the Calsburg game, and we have offensive coordinator Keith Peacock in the house. And so for our loyal listeners that listened last week to Coach Burris, you're going to get the same style of podcast, except it's going to be all things Keith, which is more than all things Chance.
More interesting. Well, especially for those that want to hear about football and X's and O's and fun stuff. And I hear the other Peacock might make an appearance.
He might. He's currently muted right now, so we'll see if he shows up. And if he does, we'll reintroduce Kyle. But Chance, tell us a little bit about what you witnessed walking up to practice.
I had a flashback to 1988. You know, we've told this story before. I was standing on the track by the light pole coming out of the old field house, and it was cinder track then. And Coach Gray drew a line in the sand, and he gave us one of his great speeches and a lot of spittle flying out and blowing around everywhere. And he's like, if you're not in this, if you're not all Pilot Point, all Bearcats, then you step across this line and I don't need you. So I stepped across the line and left.
Took that as your invitation.
Yeah. So as I'm walking from my car, I got a little flashback to that. There was no line and no cinder track, but there was some spittle flying around and some fingers pointing and some arms waving, and it made me feel good. Because that was a good experience for me. I did as much for Pilot Point football by quitting that year as Coach Gray did for me. So I went on and started the cross-country program in 1989.
Well, there you go.
So success for all of us.
Trendsetter. And that segues to you, Coach Peacock. Hi.
How's everybody?
So, Keith, this is your second year here in Pilot Point this go-around. And we'll get to how you came back to Pilot Point and all that. But I think anybody that is around the practice field, they can usually find you pretty quickly. You're normally kind of loud.
Yeah, I have a tendency of being pretty vocal.
We're going to get pure coach voice from Coach Peacock because I think he expended every vocal cord he had out there. But,
yeah, it's scratchy right now.
So we're going to start off, and before we start talking scrimmages and Calsburg and all that, we're going to talk about you, Coach Peacock. And so, give us a little background. Tell us a little bit about the Peacock household.
Well, my wife, Ashton, we've been known each other a good while. I would sit here and I'd probably mess up how many years we've been married if I told you.
Yeah, it's safe to stay away from numbers.
It is, but, I feel like we've been married for 8 years.
And it's been a wonderful, however long it's been amazing, I'm sure.
It really has. I was pretty fortunate to, she had no idea what a coach's wife entailed until she started to experience it, and she's I'm pretty spoiled when it comes down to that. She knows that she's got to handle the reins when we're in football season, and she's fantastic at all that. We got 2 kids, wonderful kids. I got a 7-year-old boy, Knox. He's in first grade here in Pilot Point, and I got a 4-year-old daughter, Paxton. She's the one that we have to watch out for.
Yeah.
And she's pre-K over at the ECC.
Okay. Now, in both of those, we're very familiar with them because they're basically field house rats.
That's exactly what they are.
They are here, and Ashton's here. I feel like at the end of every practice, hey, Ashton, and she's always around, which is awesome. We love to see it. Now, you, like some of the coaching staff, you graduated from Pilot Point, so give us a little background on that.
Yep, born and raised in Pilot Point, Texas. Been here since day one. The only time I haven't been a resident of Pilot Point is my 4 years in college. I graduated 2005. I played football, baseball, ran track like everybody had to, and I was a power lifter. So all 4 years.
All right, and then you segued your Pilot Point athletic career into a Tarleton baseball career. Is that correct?
I did. I back in the early 2000s when you were playing sports, granted I enjoyed playing sports, but you never thought, well, I'm going to do this, in college or anything. And I'm not saying that I was the best Pilot Point baseball player to ever coach Chris here, but I was pretty good for at that time 3A baseball. And I never never thought that I would have an opportunity, just because when you think college sports, you understand like how good you're supposed to be. I thought it was kind of an unreachable goal of mine. And then one day after a playoff game, I had a coach come up to me and ask me if I wanted to play for him the following year. And I didn't really know how to respond. I didn't know what he was talking about and all that. And I ended up going out and having a little tryout in Stephenville, Texas at Tarleton. And he offered me a walk-on spot on his team. And that was the first, I guess, it really wasn't an offer. It was a walk-on. But that first opportunity, yeah, absolutely. I'll come here. And then it all started from there, and went and played 4 years for Tarleton State and enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm extremely blessed for that opportunity.
Well, and that's when our adult lives first intertwined at the mutual friend Will Hooper.
Yes, it did.
And Will, I was with Will in Sanger. He was the athletic trainer when I was at Sanger, and then I was the best man in his wedding. And then Will loves to tell the story of how he was your hero there at Tarleton. And so, like you, I don't really claim that I know Will. So if somebody says, hey, you know Will Hooper? Maybe. Yeah. I might. And so what led you in from college baseball at Tarleton? What led you into coaching?
Well, as much as you don't really want to admit it, when I first got to Tarleton and I started my freshman year, I wanted to be an accountant. I thought, well, somebody told me that accountants make good money. I feel like I'm okay at math. I want to be an accountant.
You like money?
Yeah, I did. I thought that's something I need to go after. So my first semester, I took one of my classes was Accounting 101. And about mid-semester, I realized I don't think I can do this.
I don't like accounting.
I like money. I don't like counting.
Yeah. So I went to the professor and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to change my major. I just got to get through this and I need to be eligible to play baseball." And he's like, "Well, show up every day, and I'll get through. You'll be good." Yes, sir. Well, then I changed it to kinesiology. Before it was kinesiology, I think it was exercise sports studies at Tarleton. Pretty much PE.
Yeah.
All them courses. And, there's a lot of different things you could do that. Again, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And then before you know it, Hero Hooper had to scoop me up off the baseball field because I blew my knee out sliding into second base. And that was my senior year of baseball. I had about 2 weeks left until my undergraduate was done, and I had no idea what I was going to do. At that time, everybody that, and this, everybody that's a college athlete, they want to keep playing. They don't ever want to hang them up. You got to hold on to that for as long as you can, because you don't ever want to call it quits. And I was still doing that. I was trying to find independent ball teams to play on and this and that, and then all of a sudden it shut off. Well, in a full knee brace, I finished my last 2 weeks of school, and I was driving home. My house and everything I had was loaded in the back of my truck, and I got about 15 minutes from Stephenville off Highway 281, and I get a phone number that calls me, and I have no idea who it is, and I answer it, and it's G.A. Moore. And he said, "Keith, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm coming home from college." And he just asked me, "I want you to come be a football coach for me. I'm getting out of retirement." And he's like, "What were you planning on doing?" I said, "Coach Moore, I have no idea. So that sounds like good. What do you want me to do? Where do I need to go?" And he said, "Well, come here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to interview you." I said, "Yes, sir." So I drive over in Aubrey administration office and meet with him and Dr. Monaco at the time, and I never said a single word in the interview. GA was in there with me, and he pretty much told Dr. Monaco, "If you want me to win football games, you need to let me hire this guy." I never said, he didn't ask me he didn't even ask me for my resume that I just typed up. I thought I was all ready to go. And Dr. Monaco looked at me and goes, "All right, I don't know how much money you're going to make, but do you want the job?" And I looked over at Coach Moore, and he said, "You're going to want the job." I said, "Yes, sir, I want the job." And I'm going on 14 years later. I'm still doing it. So that was an opportunity that was kind of just thrown in front of me, and I'm blessed by that man by calling me, because I wouldn't want it any other way than what I'm doing right now for a living.
How many, y'all know more coaches than I do, but this is a common story that common theme of when we ask coaches, hey, how did you end up here? Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and the phone rang. I mean, I think that's Kyle's story, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be open a gym.
Yep.
And I think we spoke to a few more. Was that your story? We never interviewed everyone's favorite assistant coach.
No, as a sophomore, Coach Rick Jones, I idolized Coach Rick, and I wanted to be just like him. And so
haircut and all?
Well, don't do Coach Rick like that.
I'm just asking. It
still looks the same.
It was very modern in the Roman era.
The Caesar cut.
Yes.
And no, I idolized Coach Rick, and so when I was a sophomore, I never wanted to be anything else but a coach.
Okay. I'm sorry to sidetrack us off
it's okay.
the subject, but
fine.
it just seems like that's a common theme of, hey, got a call, invited us in, never look back.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's because it's relationships.
It really is. And you don't understand it until you get into coaching. Like, there's still kids right now that I know that we have coached in the past that if we had an open spot, there's kids that I would call to see, hey, you want to come be a football coach? I think we can get you on here.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, if Will Harbor was available right now and he was looking for a job, I'm pretty sure that'd be a kid on your short list. They're from Reedy.
Absolutely.
If he said, Coach, I have no idea what I'm doing, we'll find it. Come on. You know, and that's what you do. I think it's like you said, the relationships that are there, you build upon those, and you, not that you're a lifeline for a kid. You would have been fine if GA wouldn't have called, but it's that relationship that you want to help your former players out.
Oh yeah, and on the flip side of that, as a player for GA, you know, I still took it like he told me to do something my senior year of high school. Like, yes sir, I'll do it. You know, just because you asked me to.
Yeah.
And then again, it's one of those things. It was perfect timing. It's one of those stories in my life that, you know, it's kind of that it just happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know what made him think to call me. I can't tell you when the last time I had talked to him before that time was.
Or how he got your number in his flip phone.
Yeah, absolutely, because I know he didn't have it saved.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Not. No.
No, but you think about that, and you think about the hundreds of kids that he's coached over the years, and all of the phone calls that he could have made, and the fact that you were the one or one of the ones that he made, it's pretty spectacular.
It is, and you know, to be honest, until you just mentioned that, that never crossed my mind, but that's true, because a guy that's been around for that long, that's coached that many quality, not only players but just individuals.
Yeah.
That he chose me, that is a pretty special thing to think about. And
that is, especially when you look at that coaching tree of just head coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rolodex, in his case, probably for real, is big.
Thousands. Yeah, it's unreal. Now, so what year was that? Well, let's just look at your career up to this point. So start us at Aubrey, 2000.
Football of 2009.
Okay, 2009. Good year for the Cats.
Good year for Aubrey.
Good year for Aubrey.
It was a good year. I've got so many good stories about 2009 as Aubrey Chaparrals.
Now, sore subject. Did we beat y'all at home when I was at Sanger then, or was that the time that y'all?
That was
that 13-7?
Because we didn't play. Because we were still 2A in 2009. We
Okay.
didn't play Sanger until the following year when we made the 3A jump.
I think Aubrey only lost 2 games that year, Pilot Point, and then eventually whoever they lost to in the
playoff
playoff
that
game.
It was a 13-7. We ended up winning it at Aubrey, and it was off of a kick return touchdown with 2 minutes to go. That was inexplicable, really. Number 13 for Aubrey, whoever that was at the time, had an angle to make a tackle, and he just literally did not pull the trigger. It was I'm sure that y'all's office was a lot different than ours was the next day.
Yeah, we weren't as excited.
But 2009 Aubrey, and then just walk us through.
I was Aubrey 2009 through 2013, so I was there for 4 years. Same way that we kind of do it here on the football side of things. I coached both sides. I was helped with offensive line and was the defensive line coach. And at that time, you know, I'm fresh out of college baseball. I'm having to brush up on my football skills, and it kind of came back rather quickly. And we had a really successful year. It was good. We were the Dairy Queen game of the week against Pilot Point at Massey Stadium. One of the most electric atmospheres I've ever been in. Even though that people that I've known my entire life were saying some really, really nice things to me as I walked through the crowd to get onto the field wearing the old red and blue. But I was that, and I was the assistant baseball coach, and we had a successful baseball year that year as well. We went. It was the deepest playoff run that Aubrey had ever made.
I think that was the deepest football run at the time, too.
It sure was.
Yeah.
It was. We got beat out in the third round that year. So, yeah, I was there till 2013, and we were actually at 7-on-7 in Sanger, Pilot Point, and Aubrey. We all played in that same little summer league over there. And I knew Coach Gallegos, which was the offensive coordinator for Pilot Point at the time, and he just came up to me and says, "Hey, man, when are you gonna come to Pilot Point?" I just jokingly said, "Well, find me a job. Give me a job." Which I had a great job in Aubrey. I was the head baseball coach at the time then, and I was still offense and defensive line in football. And about 2 weeks later, Rob Best called me, and to be honest, when I think about it, my career, I left head baseball of a program that, it's not, we're not going to the state tournament every year, but we win a lot of games. To come over here and be a defensive line and assistant baseball coach. So if you're looking at it on paper, it was kind of but it's one of those things of my hometown called me and wanted me back.
Yeah.
So I did, and I came over here, and I was here 13, 14, and 15. 14 was the year that we had a pretty good season. We got beat out in the third round. Still upset by that game. I think we should have at least played for the final game. And then after that 15 year, Kyle was at Wakeland in 14, and then Chad Cole, which is a Pilot Point alumni, got the opportunity to open Reedy, and he called me, and he said, "I want you to come to Reedy and open the school with me." And I thought, okay. And he's like, "It's not set in stone yet. I don't know what kind of teaching fields I can have, this and that or whatever." And I said, okay. I said, "I enjoy my job. I love where I'm at. But, my brother's with you, and y'all are going over there, so just whenever." And it 1 year. And so I coached in Pilot Point for 1 more year, and then he called me and asked me to come over there. And, and this, every time you move jobs and move schools, it's always nervous because you love the kids that you're currently working with, and it don't matter what it is, you love the kids. And that was a hard move to walk into Pilot Point and say, even though I'm working for an alumni guy I've known my entire life and my brother, like it's a situation that's going to be really, really positive. And I did. I went over there, and I got there in spring of 2015. I got to leave here a semester early and go over there and help them with spring ball and all that. And then my first full year was, 2016.
Yeah.
And I was there 2016 until 2020.
Yeah.
So 5 total years is where I was there. And I had that was a fantastic stop for me. I really do. Working for Chad Cole was unbelievable. That's an unbelievable human. The things he taught me, not only like football wise, but just how to grow up. And I had Kyle there the first year, and of course I actually got there. I got hired as a defensive coach because that's what I was in Pilot Point. And I get there, spring ball, I'm helping with linebackers and D-line. They're trying to figure out exactly what position I'm going to coach. And then in the summertime, we flip, and we're having a coaching clinic, and they come in and say, "Hey, you're going to be an offensive coach, and you're going to coach the offensive line." Okay. I have no idea anything about offensive line in a spread offense. And it was like, here, you got a week to prepare. You got to present to all these youth coaches that are going to come to Frisco, and I need you to present our run game offense. And I thought, oh,
Great.
Man, yep, all right, here we go. And I did, and I went through it and all that. And then after that first year, which was our 3-7 at Reedy, which was the first varsity season of Reedy High School, we were 3-7.
And everybody's hearing 3-7. That's not a bad opening season.
No, not especially in that district.
Yeah,
in a big school, 5A, especially with all them Frisco schools. And that's what everybody told us every week, like, y'all going to be all right. Y'all going to be all right,
Yeah.
And still part of you like, I want to win. I don't like 3-7 on the record. And then at that time, Danny got the job here, and he had contacted Kyle, and Kyle left Reedy, and he ended up coming back here to work for Danny, and I was there. Like, he left in the summertime, and when he told me, I was going, well, what am I going to do? And I was actually really nervous. Am I going to stay at Reedy, or am I going to go somewhere else because Kyle's leaving? And, Chad called me, and he's like, you're not leaving us, are you? And I was like, no, I don't have another job. I'm here. I'm staying, And for my career, I really think that was one of the best decisions I ever made, just because I was no longer Kyle's little brother.
Yeah.
And, other people around that have coached with their brother, sometimes it's hard to deal with that as the younger brother.
Yeah.
But I finally, and I'm not saying I had that when I was in Pilot Point the first time, but I was still a really, really, really young coach. There's a lot that I did not know. So for those 5 years that I got to work without Kyle, and I felt like I got to make a name for myself as Coach Peacock, not Kyle's brother.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way at all, but, sometimes you want to be you.
Well, and I mean, you have to look at it the whole time growing up, the whole time going through Pilot Point, up until you graduate from Pilot Point, you were, that's Keith. Oh, is that Kyle's brother?
That's Kyle's brother.
Oh, that's Kyle's brother.
Yeah.
And because, you were a fantastic football player here. Kyle was a fantastic football player here. So there wasn't it wasn't like he was awful and you came through and it's like, oh, I wish Kyle would have been like that.
Yeah.
We're both pretty good. And so, I guess that does lend itself to uncomfort at first, but then once you step out, it's almost empowering in a way. Now, Rudy was a great job. It was a good job for you. It's a very well respected job for a very well respected coach with Chad Cole. Why come back to Pilot Point for round 2?
Well, I had when I was going on in my career, when I had my meetings with Chad, he'd always ask, what's your goal? And I said, well, I'm going to be honest. One day I want to be sitting in a chair like you are. Even though I've got such a baseball background, I had transitioned to being a football coach.
Yeah.
And I said, I know my first step is I need to be a coordinator. I want to be an offensive coordinator. And he's like, well, I'm going to prepare you for it. And I said, okay, well, that's what I want. And in those 5 years, I grew. He taught me, he let me adapt things. He sent me to clinics. He sent me to all kinds of things to help teach me how to make something my own, how to just branch off and do things offensively that I did not know already how to do. And then I got to that point where I was tired of waiting. We had an offensive coordinator at Reedy, and he's a fantastic coach. He's now the AD head football at Hereford, and he taught me a ton. He was a very, very, very smart football coach, but I didn't feel like he was going anywhere. A lot of times in Frisco, those coordinators don't go nowhere. They've got the job they want. They're going to stay.
And the district has a history of promoting from within. So when they open a new school, which is almost every year, it feels like they have a tendency to pirate a coordinator to take that hit. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
I think the last one they just opened, they hired Surratt, who had come from Frisco, went to Princeton, back to Frisco, and now he's the newest head coach.
And that's a big thing. Frisco was big on that promoting within, and I took that as all right, well, one of these OC jobs in Frisco is going to open, and maybe I'll have an opportunity to.
Sure.
And I got tired of waiting. I got impatient, and Danny called me and said, actually, Kyle told me, he's like, hey, I'm staying out of it, but Danny's probably going to reach out to you. And I said, all right, well, I'll call and talk to Danny. I'll go way back with him. When he called and he told me, he wanted me back. He never said anything about a future coordinator or anything. And again, it was one of those phone calls from your hometown. It just means a lot to you. And I thought about it, and I came and met with Danny, and I never let anybody in Frisco know that I was doing it. And I sat down here with Danny, and he talked me through the whole situation and all that. And I finally went to Chad, and I was like, hey, I interviewed with Pilot Point. They want me to come back. This is the gig and all that. And that was hard because me and Chad we're tight. We're best friends, and we still are today. But again, Pilot Point, it's just working with my brother again. And, that's one thing that I try to tell Kyle is, I don't want to be your little brother, even though I'm going to be working for you in a way. But I want to come back. I want my kids to go to school in Pilot Point. I live in Pilot Point. I love everything about Pilot Point. I mean, even at halftime of reading games, it didn't matter if we were up by 40 or down by 40. When we had our coaches talk, when we were checking scores at halftime, we always check Pilot Point score.
Sure.
So it's just a special place.
How do you think you're different now coming back after that gap? Are you over the Kyle little brother thing? Is this second round different than the first round?
I feel like I've grown as a professional, and not you do that when you get older, of course. But I feel like I even feel like he doesn't look at me as his little brother as much as
as a peer.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in this together, and I was worried about it when I came back. I really was, and fortunately, it has not been like that, and it's been an absolute blast ever since I came back. And from leaving such a good gig in Frisco, again, it's one of those moves on paper. It doesn't look very good, but it's been a huge blessing, and I'm thankful every day that I made that decision to come back.
Well, thank goodness for us you dropped out of accounting early, so you didn't realize what a major move that was.
I know.
Now, looking at you as Coach Peacock, how would you describe your own coaching style?
Well, I mean, like we talked earlier, I'm pretty vocal. I was raised on tough love, and I feel like that's just instilled in me. I coach kids hard. I expect and I demand excellence, and I feel like they may think that I'm not being the nicest person in the world, but I think one day they're going to think back and thank me for it. But I do. I coach kids hard, but I do know that every kid that I coach hard, I also know that they know that I love them, because I make sure that I have that relationship with them before I ever jump on them. It's one of those things that happened to us when we were younger.
Yeah.
I know Danny Joe David used to yell at me probably every day of practice. I still remember the licks that Coach David used to give me for things that I did wrong in high school, but I knew that he loved me, and we can laugh about it now, but I feel like that's kind of how I go. Is I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to be loud, I'm going to let you know when you do something wrong, but I'm going to be the first one to hug your neck when you do something right and tell you how proud I am of you and all that stuff.
Intense. That whenever I was thinking about the question to ask you, and I was thinking about possible answers that you could have and the flow of the conversation, the first thing that came to mind was intense. Because it's not that you don't know how to relax, but when we're on the grass, it just kind of gets turned up a notch. And if it's game night, it's turned all the way up.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of attitude, and I might be totally wrong. Everybody might be looking at me going, that guy needs to calm down. I just feel like that kind of attitude sometimes is contagious.
Yeah.
And, when I was younger and I had coaches with that kind of energy, that I fed off of it. And I try to do that. But then again, we're in coach mode, just because we still get those same butterflies as if we were playing a game. We still get the same emotions as if we were playing. We're doing the only thing that we'd rather be doing other than playing. So I still get that energy every opportunity I get. And sometimes the kids feed off of it. Sometimes they probably wish I'd calm down, but that's the only way I know.
Maybe we should ask Manny. Maybe we should call Manny in and ask Manny how he feels about you today.
Well, he just caught me in the hallway as I was walking in here, and he came by and he gave me a hug and said he was sorry. And I said, Manny, you don't have to apologize, man. I wasn't yelling at you because you're bad at what you do. I said I was disappointed in the performance today, and I said, but you can thank the good man upstairs that you're blessed with an opportunity to fix it tomorrow. Yeah. And I said, I love you. We'll fix it tomorrow, right? And that was the first time that Manny Segundo looked at me and said, I love you too, Coach. So I was actually impressed with that because I can't get that kid to talk on a regular basis.
Well, and I think that the kids, after now, with being around you 2 years, I think they understand that it's nothing personal. It's all business. The personal side of it, if we took our personal feelings for these kids out there, all we'd do is joke around with them and mess with them and love on them and everything else. But sometimes that's not real conducive to a football practice.
No, we'd get yelled at by boss man if we did that.
So speaking of boss man, how does it work under your brother? We see it. I see it every day. But we appreciate that you ask him the tough questions that we won't ask him.
Yeah, it's I really, really, really enjoy it. Now I do know, because I've known him since day one, and he's been there for me since day one. I can tell you right now that when he walks into the office, I can tell you if he's having a good or bad day, or if he's mad or not.
Yeah.
So I know that just because I've known it my whole life. But I've really enjoyed it. You know, he's really, really, really helped me on every aspect of the new role I'm in. And instead of, you know, like when I put stuff on the script, instead of just erasing it and putting what he wants on there, he's done a really good job of explaining to me why.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things I don't know. I mean, I've never been, you know, the play caller.
Right.
I have for, of course, JV football, and I did the run game at Reedy, but the overall play calling, it's new to me. And, you know, I never asked him, hey, can you explain anything? Do this, do that. You know, he's done a good job of helping me to understand why we do this, or why it's better to do this and that. And in just a month or so of doing it, I felt like I've grown tremendously just on the overall aspect of the offensive side of football.
Yeah.
I like it. You know, I like spending time with Kyle just because we've done it forever. When you do get a smile out of him, when you say a joke or something, it always makes it just a little bit funnier when you get that half smile out of the office, like, hey, y'all see that? Yeah.
That was a good one.
We just made him smile. Y'all write that one down.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, you can always tell if he's mad whenever he walks in. And I don't know if you notice or if it's just me because of where my desk is positioned, that the corner of the table that's the closest to me, if he taps it when he walks by, it's not good.
Yeah, put the headphones on or something.
Yeah, I'm going to go do the laundry. It's not your week. I'm out.
I'm helping.
You know, thinking selfishly, if I was coaching with my brother, it's almost a benefit because I don't know if you had a first-year coach and a first-year coordinator otherwise, you may be both butting heads if you were strangers trying to outdo each other or each save your jobs or make a showing where y'all are so close you probably talk to each other more than if you weren't brothers and can work things out quicker.
Yeah, we do. And that's the one really, really, really good positive is if something doesn't mesh correctly, we work it out to make sure that it's good.
It's where funny. If he wasn't your brother, you might feel like he was showing you up.
Exactly.
Where as a brother, it's not.
Let's get to the tough questions. What happens if we lose 7-6? Is it going to be brotherly love or is it going to be the brotherly fist fight?
Special team should have kicked the field goal and made it.
But I argue that we may get.
Come on, Ike.
We may get further because I'm saying, I'm only putting it if it was me and my brother. I'm assuming they're going to talk from the clock hitting 0 on Friday until Monday morning and have that sorted out to where two strangers, they might have a few conversations, but they're not going to be at family dinner and everything else where they have no choice but to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it, and I don't know if he strategically does this. I hope he doesn't listen to the podcast.
Probably, yes.
Yeah,
I don't even think he knows how to find a podcast.
That's
to
perfect.
Be honest with
okay,
you.
well, we're out there on the grass and we're doing team script. If there's a play that happens and he'll say, hey, who's blocking so-and-so? And I'll answer it. And he'll just nod. And that tells me right down with my pen, I got to fix that somehow. And I got to do
who's blocking so-and-so?
I got to do something.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Where's he supposed to go? Well, he's supposed to go here. This is why, blah, blah, blah. But I just make a mark, like either erase that off the script or do something different and he'll tell me. And he's told me for 2 years, like, a good coach always carries a pen at practice. And I went, why? He said, because if it don't work, scratch it off. I said, I ain't scratching anything off. I thought about this script all day. And he just looked at me. I'll go get a pen. I got a pen.
Be right back.
Yeah, so I take a pen every day now.
Okay, so step into this offensive coordinator role. It's a scheme that Chad Cole ran. I think he picked it up from Grapevine and has a little bit of Alito sprinkled in with it. And then it's kind of worked its way now through Kyle, now to you. I've learned over the years that even though it's the same words, everybody has their own flavor.
Yep.
Describe your offensive philosophy in one word.
Consistency.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because and I say this like I'm a defensive guru, in which I'm not. From a defensive side of the ball, there's so many things that you can do with this offense that really doesn't change the offense, but it changes what it looks like to a defense.
Sure.
So if you can be consistent on your formations, aligning the routes and the little tags that we do to everything, it looks like that we've got a playbook that's 100 pages long.
Yeah.
When really it's very, very, very simple. And I say consistent on we're spread team. I call it a power spread team because we want to get in the spread to really run the football, but we have so many options. So I feel like, and I preach this to the kids, is if you guys are consistent on every aspect of our offense, we're going to score a lot of points because there's a lot of things we can do to counter what defenses do. And of course, if you're consistent off offense, then you're gonna at least get to where you can get in the end zone.
Do
right.
you?
Oh,
sorry,
no,
didn't
go
mean to
ahead.
step on your toes.
It's fine. Is this a triple option question?
No.
Okay, good.
I wish. Being defensively minded, and that's where you started. Do you find yourself self-scouting? It's like, hey, well, if we run this is what I would do to stop it, so I don't need to do that. I mean, do you have internal conflicts?
No, absolutely. And to be honest, when I was a coach here, we ran a 4-2-5, and we faced a lot of 4-2-5s. And 4-3, 4-2-5, and that's what Reedy ran, the same thing. And our defensive coordinator there, he's really good. But being a defensive coach really helped me know where that run fit's coming from. So I know how to get somebody to that guy, or where this guy's going to be reading to fit. So what do I need to do to be sure we either get him blocked, or how am I going to counter and kind of false key that guy? So being a defensive coach, especially in the run game aspect of it, it really helps you figure out what I need to do with the big guys up front to get the proper guys blocked. And it does.
That's when you take the step from playing checkers to playing chess, is being able to take your experience from the other side of the ball and being able to say, man, I know the overall scheme of what they run. I don't know the intricacies of what Callisburg's going to run, but I see what they're kind of trying to do. How can I use their keys against them? And, I was a secondary coach for 9 years before I got my first offensive coordinator job, and I was a better offensive coordinator because of my time as a secondary coach.
Yep, absolutely.
And so everybody has a default setting. For defensive coordinators, they're pressure, they're conservative. They crowd the line of scrimmage or they hang back. Are you a big play guy? Would you prefer to score 42 points on 7 long pass plays or long runs? Or do you kind of embrace the slow grind of just brutalizing people?
I mean, the offensive line coach coming at me wants to say, I want that slow grind, just that 5 yards of carry when the defense is trying everything possible to stop you and they can't.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Like, all right, you can do whatever you want right here, and you're not going to stop me for under 5 yards.
Right.
But then again, those people in the stands, really everybody, that big play that 66 that Aston Kirby catches and splits the backers and the safety and just runs from everybody, I really like those two.
That it reminds me a lot of watching his dad growing up.
No, it doesn't.
No, the running a long ways.
Yes, not with a ball. Maybe people chasing me.
Yeah, but no, I can appreciate that. And
now I will tell you, and I never thought that I was going to be this guy. That when I got this opportunity, even at Reedy, I was like, we're in the red zone, run the ball. We need to run the ball. Let's run the ball. Now, when when you're the guy calling it, you run the ball for 8, and the first thing that goes through your mind is, we've got him. Let's take a shot. And boss man's going, this is the second play of the game. You just got 8 yards. I go, I want to score fast.
Yeah,
run the ball again. Okay, sorry.
Sure.
I wanted to take that shot, but I will next play.
If you just say it fast enough, Price will signal it in before he can say no.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's a blessing, but in the crumb scrimmage, I think he was yelling at me, but I couldn't hear Kyle a single word.
It was on the defensive channel.
That was perfect, because all of a sudden I hear him go, "Are you ignoring me?" And I went, Coach Peacock, is that you? Are you talking to me? He's like, I've been talking to you. I said, I didn't get a word. And I was like, you might want to start over. And he's like, I said too much. Well, I didn't hear any of it. And then you look up and we're on offense and we're good again. So if he was yelling at me, somebody else got an earful.
Sorry, Burris.
Yeah, my bad.
Burris, apparently you're supposed to be in the white package on defense.
Yeah.
I always like to bring up what I think the people at the coffee shop are talking about, so I want to know how you would respond to this. People love to knock coordinators coming from big schools and saying, oh, well, it's easier up there because if this kid doesn't work, we just plug in another athlete almost as good and we make them fit to our offense. They don't have to coach an offense to the skill level that they have at a small school. What's your response to that?
I mean, I don't want to say that coaching at the big school was any easier. Now, the ones that we had on offense, they were good. And I'm not saying the twos weren't good, but there was a drop-off. And we were at a school that had 1,900 kids in it. And as bad as it sounds, and I'm not talking ill about anybody, but in 2018, we got beat by Alito in the regional finals. We were good. We were big. If I had a second string that I had to put in, I'm going, oh, man, quarterback, you need to get rid of the football. I mean, it's the same kind of concept. I don't want to say that it was easier coaching there. I think that you have to work harder at small schools, which I enjoy. That's why I love the aspect about it. And I say work harder in the aspect of not your X's and O's in football, but the preparations that you have to get the kids that you have at the level that they need to be at to be good. From the off-season training to the track program, all those things that our kids are a part of all year, you got to be a little bit different with how you do things. Because when you're at a big school, 95% of your football kids, you have them year-round because they're football only. Mm-hmm. Here, football's over. We get through. Some are going to basketball, baseball, like they're gone. So you don't have that group all year. But when it comes down to coaching football, it's not any easier or harder at a big school, at a small school, when it comes down to the X's and O's. But you have to do more behind closed doors, I guess you could say, at a small school to get those wins and losses.
Well, do you think, talking about earlier scoring quick, you have to tailor that to some degree here, especially this year with the number of kids we have?
Absolutely.
And factor in, hey, this guy's going to it's not that this is ever going to happen, but we go 3 and out and burn 19 seconds off the clock. Now these kids are going right back to playing defense. Is that just more you're having to process now and figure out?
100%, because we've got the tempo part of this offense, and the kids have gotten good at it, where we can tempo another team all the way down the field. And you think, all right, that's great. I'm going to make that defense so tired that it's going to be really easy to drive the length of the field and score on them.
Then it's the same kids going out for our defense.
And then those same tired kids that we just scored on a 12-play drive and just grinded the clock, they got to turn around and get a drink of water, and they're on a kickoff return team. Mm-hmm. And then the kickoff team. Then they got to play defense. So yes, that as much as you want a tempo, you can't do it all the time, and that's hard for defenses to handle as an up-tempo team. But we've got to take care of ourselves first. And if we're doing what we're capable of, if we're being that consistent offense, we can bleed the clock as long as we score when we bleed that clock. And then, get the guys the appropriate rest in between plays, which isn't a lot. I know it's not a lot, but kind of treat it that way so we can stay as fresh as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Now, it's a big week because it's game one. It's not a big week necessarily because of our opponent or anything like that. It's just it's week one. It's game one. It's the dress rehearsal's over. Where do you think we are offensively after our first 2 scrimmages?
I think we're where we need to be at the beginning of the year. And the thing is when we watch video and study this, and this, every time that something negative happens, it's not a complete bust. It's that guy's wide open, but one block kind of slipped off and made the quarterback vacate the pocket, and he couldn't step into the throw, or he had to scramble when that guy was wide open. So for not to have a bunch of mess-ups each play, one minor, I try to sit back and look at the big picture. Like, all right, we missed that one block right there, and we got tackled at the line of scrimmage. But if I'd have got that one block, look at what he could have done because of this run late in one thing. Or, we run cowboy, and Aston is wide open with nobody around him, but pressure got to the quarterback, and he threw it, and it had to go out of bounds.
No.
All right, well, that route was wide open. That's a big play. That's 20-plus yards. One guy missed a block and calls it to get out. Little things like that.
Sure.
I think where we are now, don't get me wrong, we need to get a lot better. But it's a marathon. It can't be a sprint right now, or then we're gonna be treading water going backwards.
It'd be scary if we were really, really, really good right now.
It really would.
I would be worried. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to probably people on the outside. Like, why wouldn't you want to be really, really, really good? Because then your room for improvement is kind of capped, and you feel like all we can do is kind of backslide. Now, like we said, big week. Give us a brief scouting report of Callisburg. You don't have to give too detailed, but what can Tom in the stands, what can he expect whenever he looks out there? What is Callisburg going to give us?
They play a 4-2-5 basically on defense. They've got some guys in the box that can play football. They've got an edge rusher that I think he was a regional finalist in the 100-meter dash.
Defending area champion.
Yeah, he's a big, strong kid that can run. Lucky for us, he plays on one side. He can't play on both sides. The receiver, the defense that they do is in the secondary part. They like to play a lot of man coverage, and I hope they don't listen to this and change it up on me or anything. But I think step for step, I think our athletes on the perimeter are better than their athletes.
Well, in fairness, we have 2 really good athletes on the perimeter. It's not 2 slouches.
No, and that's what I try to tell them all the time, guys, is if you're on your A game, I don't think we're going to face anybody that can cover you guys. Just the way that y'all do things. And
so well coached.
They really are.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate that.
I think that we've got them set up to where we know where their guys are going to be. And, of course, you can scout people all day long, but when you get to a game, the defense is going to try to get a competitive edge doing something different that we're not used to seeing. And, that's the job of the coaches, is to recognize that early and often and see it and make adjustments as the game goes on. And, for that guy in the stands, there's going to be something in the first quarter and the first half that we're going to get that's unexpected. And it's going to be our job to make that adjustment and make it work. I do know that if they line up and they play the same way that they have consistently the past 2 scrimmages, we've got a really good game plan installed for Friday night.
Yeah, I agree. I feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
I not feel good about it like I'm sitting here planting the flag, calling a win, but I feel like our kids are prepared, and I feel like there's a plan in place that will allow us to be successful. And then now when Callisburg has the ball, Tom in the stands can expect to see kind of not multiple formations, but a little bit different attack. They'll try to hit us on the perimeter, passing game, running game, and then they'll hit us with a little midline option in the middle that'll it's all kind of smoke and mirrors. And if you know Eddie Gill, who's their head coach, they're going to be a well-coached, hard-nosed football team that is going to get after our tail for however long that game is. And they'll do it with undersized linemen that will create angles and try to get success that way. So it's going to be a lot of assignment football. I know you're not Coach Burris, but you're another coach that's in here to talk about it. Yep. So I think it all comes down defensively of will we do our job. And then we got to make tackles. I think we're going to get our chess pieces there, but we got to make the play when we get there.
When we get there, absolutely.
And I think the same could be said about offensively. If you make your block and you make the cut that you're supposed to, or the right read, I think we're in position to be successful.
Yep, I think if the kids just trust us and understand their assignment and do it, I think they're going to be prepared. And then I also think that our kids will come out because, I believe you're the one that told me this when I came back. Based off of the ending of practice today and how, I don't want to say how rough it was, but how disappointed some of the things were. Pilot Point kids, I still don't understand them. They can practice almost average ability and just have mess ups and stuff. And for some way, on Friday night at 7:30 when the lights come on, the kids are there to play. And it's the craziest thing, and it scares me every week when you go into a game and you're going, we practiced so bad all week. And then they go out there and just light it up. They know, and you try to tell them you can't do that. You need to be able to play the same, practice the same way y'all are playing on Friday night, but they do. So I know first game of the year, first opportunity to go against the record, they're going to be there Friday night at 7:30, and they're going to be ready to play. When kickoff happens, the Bearcats are going to be doing what they're expected to do.
Yeah.
Well, sounds very Allen Iverson of them.
Yeah, maybe they're believers. Maybe we're just Allen Iverson fans at heart.
Yeah, maybe.
For anybody who's confused by this reference, go YouTube Allen Iverson.
Talking about practice.
Practice speech. Well, Keith, thank you for your time. I know your kids are actually probably running around somewhere around the field house.
Knox Man's out there getting ready flag football. He's coached by 1980-81, the greatest Greg Pelzel, and they practice hard.
They do. Does Greg wear the Undefeated glasses on game day?
No. I wish he would go get them out of the salon and wear them one day.
Should.
Actually, I heard a rumor this
no.
week, a second-grade football rumor, that Pilot Point's greatest Greg Pelzel was removed from the field and thrown out of the game Saturday.
I watched one game
for overcoaching.
He was overcoaching, and and don't get me wrong, my son's on the team or whatever, and I love every bit about it because we've got 3 ex-Pilot Point Bearcat coaches that are coaching the second grade team, and they coach them to the highest standard you would ever expect a second grade flag football team. And it's so fun to watch because those kids, they respond to those. But watching those, I don't want to say old men because they're going to get mad at me, but watch them get excited and watch Greg Pelzel do the Tiger Woods fist pump after a touchdown.
Yeah, because he engineered it.
Because it's his offense.
You're right.
And if we run outright 20 series, 78 pass, and they don't score, you guys did something wrong.
Yeah, the quarterback, just look to the corner.
Yes,
it's the tight end.
Which is what he got thrown out
there.
for.
Yeah.
He wasn't – you cannot apparently in this league tell the quarterback where to throw the ball when the play is live.
That's
and
tough.
That's very hard for Greg.
You can only do that if you're off the field on the sidelines. You can do
correct.
everything. But he was calling the play, and he was behind him, and as soon as it was open, he was telling the quarterback. Little old Cash Money Evans was just dialing him up. Now he knows Greg's telling him where to throw the ball. I was like, man, that little second-grade quarterback, he reads the field really well.
Field general.
How's he?
Well, and Greg was such an expert passing quarterback anyway, so he knows the passing.
He's undefeated, guys. Still undefeated.
Yeah, he is. They are, but they actually do great. But no, the kids are out there at
good
flag football practice, and
so Pax is cheering, I'm sure.
There's no telling where she is right now, but I saw her when I walked in before I came in here, and she had dresses and cowboy boots on, and she said she was going to go dance, and I just went, okay.
And she is quite possibly. She's very adorable.
Yeah.
I can't say the most adorable girl ever because I would be offending Malaya.
You can't do that.
But she can be first for you.
Yes, she can.
And she can be second for me.
That's
and
right.
we can flip-flop it.
Absolutely.
That's great. Everybody's a winner. But we sure appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate y'all.
I know that it's tough to come by, and you get out of practice and get to come in here and talk to us is great. It's what you look forward to, I'm sure.
Well, having the podcast and PopPointBearcats.com, I've got people that I know, that are coaches all over the state of Texas that still log on and listen. So they might listen to this and call me and give me all kinds of stuff on how stupid I sound on a headset. But oh well. But I think it's fantastic, and I think not only is this good for our kids, but it's great for our community. And I was looking forward to this. I was actually nervous when I first said, like, man, I'm going to say something I'm not supposed to, and I didn't find out until third period. So my real job of being a teacher, when I found out I had to do a podcast, completely went out the door, and I started having to think of things I was going to say today.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And you, I know more than most when I try to explain to people. We'll pick on my dad, for instance. I don't think he understands the statewide reach that we have from basically a bunch of stupid ideas that me and Travis came up with and said, why don't we try that?
Yeah.
But I mean,
well, it's fantastic for our kids, because in today's world, social media platform is how kids are getting seen. And Coach Marsh can tell you, I can't tell you how many college recruiters come in here and say, yeah, I saw that on that PowellPointBearcats.com. It was posted. Like the level that these kids are getting exposed to everybody around is unbelievable, and they're very, very, very fortunate, because I don't know of very many, if any, schools that have something like this for the kids.
To my knowledge, there's none. We're the only two idiots that waste all of our time trying to make a college-like media program at a high school.
Yeah, I love it.
I do too.
I enjoy it.
I do think it's the future, though.
I
think
do.
in 10 years you're going to see the Allens and the Highland Parks being like, hey, this is what we need to offer our kids. Yep. And I think not that we're visionaries, but everything trickles down from college. Pros did it, then colleges took off and ran with it. We're doing our little small part, and everyone's going to hopefully look at what we do and be like, you know what? Not only can we do that, we're going to do it better. And then all the kids statewide are going to benefit from everyone pushing that.
Well, the media guide that you put together, it rivals some college media guides that I've seen.
Well, it's fun to do. That's an obsession of mine. But I'm not going to name schools. It wouldn't be as fun to do at some schools. We have a great history. So it's a whole lot more fun to put our media guide together and talk about that 1946 team, which I still don't understand why we don't have a banner for that one, and all the things that Pilot Point has done, whereas if we were at other schools, I don't know that would be as exciting.
Yeah. Well, and so speaking of Bearcat Media and what we do, our very own Professor Diggs is dropping his first 3A report.
Just emailed it to me while we were sitting here doing this podcast. So I'm going to actually prioritize that and put it in front of this and put the Diggs cast out.
So the fourth 3A report, and if you don't know Professor Diggs, it's at Professor Diggs on Twitter. Matt Diggs, who is a psychology.
He's a psychology professor during the day.
And then a Texas high school football expert at night. He's a great follow, but he works with us on doing the District 4 3A report, and then first webcast of the year is this Friday night from Calsburg, America. We'll bring the Bearcats into your living room.
That's right. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and
you can judge and armchair quarterback the offensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
All you want.
Yeah, I need all of it I can get.
Can't discuss it in the chat room, though, unless you're a subscriber. Perfect. It's a new rule this year.
Yeah, because if you are, I want to be able to read it.
That's right. So you just can't anonymously fire in there. You're going to have to be a subscriber.
Well, that's good. And then we'll be rocking and rolling. We'll be back with a post-game, pregame podcast.
CS Designs post-game.
For next week, and we're rocking and rolling, and we'll be coming into your ears and your living room and everywhere else.
You're going to get a lot of us now, I hope, if that's what you want, because it's football season, so we're in full swing.
And then college football happens quickly, and you'll be able to see UNT play soon.
Correct. It's coming up. Can't wait.
All right. Well, as always, thank y'all for listening, and go Bearcats.